Life often confronts you without warning. Sometimes it happens in a conversation you didn't expect to go wrong. Other times it appears in the sudden shift of someone's tone or the look on someone's face that tightens your chest before you can even think. You may feel a pressure under your ribs, a spark of irritation, or a sudden rush of heat in your mind that makes you want to react instantly. This is the human condition. The body responds before the mind arrives. But this is exactly where Stoicism becomes powerful. It teaches you how to step into that space between impulse and reaction. It teaches you how to stay calm where most people explode, how to hold your ground where others lose themselves, and how to remain unshaken when someone tries to provoke you. Epictetus believed that the first emotional hit is not your fault, but the second reaction, your response, is your responsibility. And in mastering this, you become stronger than anything that tries to affect you. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a confrontation. Someone raises their voice. Someone tries to belittle you. Someone brings unnecessary negativity. Your old self jumps forward, wanting to defend, attack, shout, prove something. But the Stoic within you says, "Wait, do not give your power away so quickly." The Stoic approach is not about suppressing emotions, but about refusing to be controlled by them. You breathe deeply. You observe. You let the emotion rise and fall inside your mind without acting on it. Suddenly you are in control. You are the one who decides what happens next. Not your anger, not the pressure, not the person in front of you. You. A student once asked Epictetus, "Master, how do I stop reacting too quickly?" Epictetus replied, "By remembering that an insult is not a command. You are not obligated to obey every emotion that appears." This simple idea holds enormous power. Because once you learn to pause, you break the automatic pattern. You no longer give others the authority to push your buttons. You no longer react emotionally to every spark. You rise above your impulses, and in doing so, you rise above most human conflict. When Stoicism teaches control, it is not referring to controlling the world. It refers to controlling yourself. This leads us to the first major principle, recognizing what belongs to you and what doesn't. Your thoughts, choices, actions, these belong to you. Other people's opinions, their emotions, their judgments, their expectations, these do not belong to you. Yet most suffering comes from mixing the two. You take things personally that were never yours. You defend things that don't need defending. You chase validation from people who cannot even validate themselves. Epictetus said, "If it's outside your control, it cannot harm your soul unless you let it." Imagine how different your life becomes when you stop giving your peace away to everything you do not control. A student once complained, "Master, people treat me unfairly." Epictetus responded, "Then be grateful for the chance to strengthen your character." If fairness were guaranteed, courage would be useless. This perspective turns pain into power. Instead of asking why life isn't fair, Stoicism teaches you to ask how you can become stronger. When you stop demanding that the world obey your expectations, you free yourself from endless disappointment. You learn to operate from internal stability, not external permission. The next principle is the idea that your interpretation shapes your experience. Events are neutral. Your story about them creates your suffering or your peace. If someone ignores your message, you might think, "They're disrespecting me." But another interpretation could be, "They're busy, distracted, or dealing with their own struggles." If someone criticizes you, you may hear, "I'm not enough." But you could also think, "This is an opportunity to grow, to see something from another perspective." Epictetus used to say, "It is not the thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it." This is one of the most liberating truths you can learn. You have the power to reinterpret any situation. You cannot control the event, but you can control the meaning. Imagine two people facing the same problem. One suffers endlessly, drowning in frustration, anxiety, and self-doubt. The other gains strength, clarity, and patience. What made the difference? Not the situation, but the interpretation. Your mind can turn a challenge into chaos, or a challenge into a lesson. It all depends on which story you choose. A young learner once asked, "Master, how do I change the story?" Epictetus answered, "By refusing to tell yourself the old one. You don't need to create some dramatic narrative. You simply need to remove the negative interpretation and replace it with a wiser one. This practice trains your mind to see clearly instead of emotionally. And when you master this, you stop being emotionally dragged by things that used to control you." The third principle is emotional discipline, the strength to delay reaction. Many people believe they are defeated by life, but in reality, they are defeated by their own quick responses. Anger, fear, jealousy, insecurity. These emotions demand immediate action. Stoicism teaches you to resist this demand. It teaches you to wait until you are in control before responding. Even a 2-second pause can prevent a lifetime's regret. Imagine someone shouting at you. The easy thing is to shout back. The strong thing is to remain stable, not in arrogance but in clarity. A student once admitted, "Master, when I am angry, I lose myself." Epictetus replied, "Then learn to delay your tongue until your mind returns." The wisdom here is simple. You do not need to respond when your emotions are in command. You respond when your clarity is in command. This is how you prevent others from steering your actions. This is how you avoid wars of ego and pointless arguments. This is how you remain powerful in situations where others break down. The next principle is accepting reality without resistance. Most suffering comes from wishing that things were different. You argue with life. You argue with circumstances. You argue with moments that already happened. This shouldn't have happened, you say. But Stoicism reminds you, the event has already happened. Your resistance cannot change it. It only adds pain to the truth. Acceptance isn't weakness. Acceptance is the bravery to face reality without emotional distortion. When you accept what is, you free your mind to act wisely. You stop wasting energy on denial, complaining, or anger. You start asking, "What can I do with this now?" A student once cried, "Life is too harsh." Epictetus responded gently, "Life is simply life. You suffer because you expect it to be soft." These words may sound heavy, but they contain immense liberation. When you accept that life is unpredictable, imperfect, and sometimes painful, you no longer feel betrayed by it. You become mentally prepared. You stop being shocked by challenges. You stop collapsing when something goes wrong. You learn to face problems with the mindset of a warrior, not a victim. Another powerful principle is building inner strength rather than waiting for easier circumstances. Many dream of peace, happiness, and confidence, but they expect the world to deliver these emotions. Stoicism flips this idea completely. Peace comes from character, not comfort. Happiness comes from clarity, not perfection. Confidence comes from discipline, not luck. Epictetus said, "Do not pray for life to be easier. Pray for yourself to be stronger. When you grow stronger internally, life becomes lighter, even if nothing externally changes." Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. If your body becomes stronger, the weight feels lighter, even though the load is exactly the same. Life works the same way. When you strengthen your mind, the burdens that once crushed you become manageable. You stop waiting for the world to make sense. You make sense within yourself. You stop seeking perfect circumstances. You create resilience inside you. And that resilience becomes your shield. A curious student once said, "Master, I want a peaceful life." Epictetus replied, "Then build a peaceful mind." These words hit deeply because they expose our misunderstanding. Peace is not found in the world. Peace is brought into the world by you. And when you carry peace, nothing external can remove it. The next principle is the discipline of staying present. The human mind suffers more from imagination than from reality. Future fears, past regrets, old memories, imagined failures. These things drain more energy than the present moment ever could. Epictetus believed that most suffering comes from living in times other than now. The present moment is usually manageable. It is the thoughts about the past and future that overwhelm you. A student once asked, "Master, how do I escape the burden of tomorrow?" Epictetus replied, by refusing to carry it today. This is a profound shift. When you stay present, problems shrink. Clarity increases. Emotional noise quiets down. You realize that right now, you have everything you need to deal with this moment. And that is enough. Presence becomes a form of strength. It keeps your mind from spinning into chaos. It gives you calmness in the middle of uncertainty. And when you consistently return to the present, nothing external can disturb you for long. The seventh principle is embracing discomfort as a tool for growth. Most people run from discomfort, but Stoicism teaches that discomfort builds resilience. Everything strong, muscles, minds, character, patience grows through resistance. Epictetus believed that difficult people, difficult situations, difficult emotions, they are all training tools. Life is the gym where your character is shaped. When someone challenges you, instead of taking offense, you can think, this is training. When a situation becomes heavy, you can think, this is strengthening me. Suddenly, pain becomes purpose. A student once said, Master, I am tired of challenges. Epictetus responded, then you are tired of becoming better. These words are sharp but true. The moments that test you the most often build you the most. When you embrace discomfort instead of resisting it, you become mentally unbreakable. The eighth principle is releasing attachment to things outside your control. People, possessions, outcomes, opinions. Attachment makes you fearful and reactive. The more you cling, the more you suffer. Epictetus said, enjoy everything, but hold nothing as if it is yours. This doesn't mean avoiding love or joy. It means loving without fear, enjoying without needing, and living without clinging. You stop demanding permanence from things that were never permanent. You stop expecting people to behave exactly as you wish. You stop tying your identity to external things. A student once confessed, I fear losing what I love. Epictetus answered, then love with appreciation, not possession. When you stop clinging, you stop fearing. When you stop fearing, you become free. And when you become free, nothing can affect you deeply enough to break your inner state. All these principles lead you toward a powerful truth. No one controls your peace except you. When the student heard these teachings, he paused, thinking deeply. Master, he finally said, if nothing is truly mine, not approval, not outcomes, not even the actions of others, then what can I truly rely on? Epictetus looked at him with calm certainty, the kind of presence that dissolves confusion. Rely on what you can control, your character, your choices, your discipline, your principles. These are the only possessions you carry from moment to moment, from day to night, from life to death. Everything else is on loan, and those words shape the heart of the Stoic path. If you anchor yourself to what you control, nothing external will ever shake you again. The student nodded slowly, realizing that his entire life had been built on fragile foundations, seeking approval, reacting emotionally, fearing loss, trying to control what was never his. And this is the truth for many people today. Most carry the weight of life on their shoulders, not because life is heavy, but because they carry it the wrong way. They try to control others' reactions. They try to force outcomes. They try to demand consistency from the world. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Release what you cannot hold. Become strong where you stand. And in that shift, you become immovable. Imagine walking through your day with this mindset. Someone criticizes you. Your inner voice says, their opinion belongs to them. My peace belongs to me. Someone ignores your message. Your mind says, their priorities are their own. My worth is not affected. Someone disrespects you. Your heart replies, their behavior is a reflection of their state, not my identity. Suddenly, you realize how much unnecessary pressure you've been carrying your entire life. You realize how free you can be when you stop letting the world dictate your state of mind. Epictetus often told his students, no man is truly free until he can say, you have no power over my mind. This is the ultimate form of strength, not the power to dominate others, but the power to dominate yourself. When you reach this level, the world may push against you, but cannot penetrate you. Problems may appear, but they do not drown you. People may behave unpredictably, but they cannot disturb your inner structure. You become unshakable, not by denying reality, but by mastering your response to it. The student once asked, "Master, how do I strengthen my response?" Epictetus smiled and said, "By practicing on the small moments, so you are prepared for the great ones." This means you don't wait for a crisis to build discipline. You build discipline every day. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting, you practice calm. When someone is rude in a small way, instead of taking it personally, you practice letting go. When plans change unexpectedly, instead of complaining, you practice flexibility. These small exercises prepare you for the bigger challenges. Strength is not built in a single moment. It is built through repeated choices. This brings us deeper into Stoicism's internal training. Epictetus believed that life sends you tests to reveal your current level. If you fail a test emotionally, you are shown exactly where you need improvement. Instead of judging yourself, you recognize the weakness and begin to strengthen that part of your character. Every emotional reaction becomes a mirror. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Every situation becomes an opportunity to practice mastery. And slowly you transform from someone who reacts unconsciously to someone who responds intentionally. One day, the student returned to Epictetus, frustrated. "Master, I tried to stay calm today, but a man insulted me so harshly that I lost my composure." Epictetus asked, "Why did his insult bother you?" The student replied, "Because it felt personal." Epictetus looked into his eyes and said, "Personal to whom? To the body you inhabit, to the reputation you cling to, or to the ego you mistakenly identify as yourself?" The student remained silent. Epictetus continued, "Insults can only enter when you leave the door open. Close the door, and the insult has nowhere to go." This is the art of emotional detachment, recognizing that an insult needs agreement to hurt you. If you don't agree with it, if you don't internalize it, if you don't make it part of your identity, it becomes empty air. You hear it, but it does not reach you. It passes through you like smoke through the wind. And this is not numbness. It is clarity. It is the understanding that others do not define you unless you allow them to. The student then asked, "Master, what about people who intentionally try to provoke me?" Epictetus replied, "They are slaves to their own emotions. Should you become their companion in suffering?" This is a powerful shift in perspective. When someone tries to provoke you, they are revealing their own inner turmoil. If you get provoked as well, you join them in their suffering. But if you stay calm, you show that you live on a different level of consciousness. Their emotional chaos cannot pull you down. Another lesson came when the student complained, "Master, I fear what might happen in the future. I fear losing what I have." Epictetus replied softly, "You fear because you cling. Release your grip, and fear dissolves." This is not about caring less. It is about accepting impermanence. Everything you have today, your relationships, your possessions, your opportunities, exists in the present. None of it is guaranteed in the future. The Stoic approach is to appreciate fully without clinging desperately. Enjoy deeply without expecting permanently. When you stop demanding certainty from life, you stop fearing uncertainty. You live with gratitude instead of fear. The student asked again, "Master, how do I appreciate without clinging?" Epictetus answered, "See everything as a traveler passing by. Greet them with joy, share time with them, but do not chain them to your expectations." You begin to understand that everything is temporary and therefore precious. Instead of fearing loss, you appreciate presence. And when things leave, you let them go with grace, maintaining your inner balance. In time, the student learned another deep principle. The world reflects your inner state. If your mind is chaotic, every situation feels hostile. If your mind is calm, even difficulty feels manageable. If your mind is insecure, every comment feels like an attack. If your mind is grounded, even criticism feels like information, not harm. This principle changes everything. Instead of blaming the world, you refine your inner landscape. Instead of fighting people, you develop inner clarity. And slowly, the world begins to feel easier, not because it changed, but because your perception changed. One day the student returned with a breakthrough. "Master," he said, "I realize that I am disturbed not by events, but by the story I create about them." Epictetus smiled proudly. "Good, now you see clearly. And once you see clearly, you can never return to blindness. When you understand that your interpretation shapes your reality, you reclaim tremendous power. You stop being a victim of circumstances. You become the author of your inner world." But Epictetus wanted him to understand something deeper. He said, "Wisdom is not avoiding emotion. Wisdom is choosing the right emotion." Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotionless, but in truth, Stoicism teaches emotional refinement. It teaches you which emotions deserve your energy and which do not. Anger rarely deserves it. Fear rarely deserves it. Ego never deserves it. But gratitude, clarity, courage, and patience, these are emotions worth strengthening. Another day the student said, "Master, today a man insulted me, and I remained calm. But afterward I felt proud of myself." Epictetus warned him, "Be careful. Pride is another trap. True strength is quiet. This is emotional. Humility, the understanding that controlling yourself is a continuous practice, not a trophy. Every situation is new. Every day presents different tests. Pride becomes a weakness if it blinds you to your vulnerabilities. The Stoic path is not about showing others your strength. It is about consistently practicing it without needing recognition." As the student continued his training, he encountered one of the most advanced Stoic lessons. Epictetus told him, "When something disturbs you, ask not what happened, but what it revealed about you. This shifts the entire game. Instead of blaming circumstances, you examine your reaction. Did you become angry? Why? Did you take it personally? Why did you feel insecure? Why? Every emotional reaction becomes an opportunity to understand yourself, and understanding yourself leads to mastery." Over weeks, the student noticed his reactions becoming slower, calmer, more intentional. He began to experience a new kind of peace, not because life became easier, but because he became stronger. He realized something remarkable. The world had not changed at all. People were the same. Challenges were the same. Unpredictability was the same. But his internal response had transformed so deeply that these things no longer affected him the way they once did. One day the student said, "Master, I feel as though nothing can shake me now." Epictetus smiled gently. "Good, but remember, peace is maintained through practice, not assumption. Your progress is real, but it requires vigilance. True Stoic mastery is not a final destination. It is a continuous path. Every day you practice discipline, presence, acceptance, emotional control, and inner strength. Every day new tests will appear, some small, some great. Your duty is to respond with the principles you have built." Finally, the student asked one last question. "Master, how do I know I have truly become free?" Epictetus answered with timeless clarity, "You are free when no insult can wound you, no praise can intoxicate you, no outcome can break you, and no fear can enslave you. You are free when your mind becomes your own ally instead of your enemy." That is the final form of Stoic strength. A mind that stands with you, not against you. A mind that sees clearly instead of emotionally. A mind that remains calm, not because life is easy, but because you have become unshakable. This is the power of understanding what belongs to you and what does not. This is the strength of interpreting events with wisdom instead of emotion. This is the discipline of delaying reaction until clarity arrives. This is how you live a life where nothing can affect you.